Other problems can show up with performance, whether we've got malware infections that are slowing down our device, such as being infected with malware that is being used for Bitcoin mining, or updates that are being downloaded and applied. That will definitely slow down a network and the system to which the downloads are going to and the updates are being applied. Of course, there's always the simple problem of having too many apps open at the same time. On the input issue side, imagine that we've got a wired or wireless keyboard that we're trying to use with a laptop. Maybe we don't want to use the laptop keyboard because it's not as comfortable. Well, we'd have to make sure if it's a Bluetooth wireless keyboard that we've got Bluetooth pairing enabled for that to work between a laptop and the keyboard. They both have to support Bluetooth. If it's a wired keyboard and we have an issue, it could be a problem with the faulty keyboard cable, or we might simply have to reboot the system. Many laptops also will have function keys that are labeled with FN. Now usually you can press the FN key, which is normally in the bottom left of the keyboard on a laptop, along with the function key across the top to get added functionality like putting the laptop into hibernation mode or disabling Wi-Fi or disabling sound. So we want to make sure that we try easy things first. For example, if someone finds that the audio is no longer working on their laptop, it could be that they've inadvertently turned it off through a function key combination. The numlock key is also important. The numlock will turn on the keypad for number use, but the keys have an alternate meaning when numlock is turned off. If a user forgets their authentication credentials, such as a password or a PIN, depending on the version of the mobile operating system, they might be able to click a Forgot Your Password link. In a worst-case scenario, maybe a factory reset would be used to reset the device to its initial settings. If you've got an SD storage card, pull that out of the device first, and if you've got it linked to a cloud account, it should sync up with any data stored in the cloud. If mail can't be decrypted, one of the problems is usually related to the account that's used with the mail. Normally, mail decryption means that we don't have access to a private key. In order for us to receive encrypted mail, the sender needs to have our public key, which they can have, no problem. It's a public key. It can be given away securely to everybody. But only we should have our private key, and usually that's in a PKI certificate. Well, if the certificate stored on our device is corrupt, or if the certificate itself is corrupt, we'll have a problem decrypting email. Some other things to bear in mind when solving mobile device issues. Uninstall recently installed apps. This feeds into the what has changed recently part of our troubleshooting methodology. If you've installed an app and all of a sudden things aren't working correctly or performance degrades, uninstall the app to see if that makes a difference. In some cases, it's just best to take the device, especially if it's a physical problem like a broken screen, to a qualified repair technician. Applying software updates for the mobile device operating system as well as apps is always important. Not only to fix security problems, but also to fix any functional problems in the software or to add new features. The same goes with applying firmware updates, such as to the BIOS on a laptop. If we have problems with sound, well, we already know we want to make sure we haven't inadvertently disabled it with the function keys, but also simply check the sound settings. For example, if you're plugged into an external monitor from your laptop through an HDMI cable, remember that HDMI carries video and audio. And if the sound is down on the monitor, you're not going to hear anything. But when you unplug the monitor, then you might hear it on your laptop. Let's not forget the easy stuff, of course. Just rebooting the device sometimes solves mysterious issues. In the case of a mobile device that takes a SIM card, that could be a tablet or it could be a smartphone, sometimes you'll need to remove and reinsert the SIM card for it to function properly. So how do we do that? Pictured on the screen, we see an example of inserting a SIM card in a smartphone. The SIM card will contain things like your unique account information to connect you to the carrier network, perhaps some saved contacts, text messages, and so on. SIM stands for Subscriber Identity Module. And so the SIM card is required to gain access to the carrier network, so you can make phone calls and send SMS text messages. But you don't need it inserted if you need to make emergency 911 calls. And if you have a problem with the entire device, you can remove the SIM card and place it into another device to be up and running on the carrier network.